for they will be comforted. And he's talking about, blessed are us who mourn over our wickedness. We will be comforted, Jesus says. And she's doing this. She's crying, she's wiping, she's kissing, she's pouring. And Simon says in his mind, if Jesus were a true prophet, he's saying this in his mind, remember, he would know what kind of wicked person this is. Jesus, what does he do? He answers Simon's thoughts. He proves himself to be a prophet. And he's much more than that. And he says something, Simon, I have something to say to you. And Simon says, well, say it, teacher, say it, Rabbi. And he's like saying, pay attention to this. You're not getting this, Simon. You're not getting what's actually happening. And he goes into this parable of a guy that owes a debtor 50 denarii and one that owes 500. The point of the parable is not how much sin there is, because we are all utterly and wicked and detestable in God's sight. Every single one of us are. It's the awareness of the guilt of the sin. One denarius coin equals 1 day's wages. So these were two huge debts that neither one of these debtors could pay. Jesus was kind of using it as an exaggeration, saying that, they cannot pay this. But they're forgiven. And so this is really a parable that exposes Simon and his self-righteousness. See, the Simon and the woman have this in common. They were both spiritually bankrupt and needing the hope of Jesus. Just like us. The difference is, the woman saw it, Simon didn't. The woman saw that she was spiritually bankrupt, Simon didn't. The point of the parable was that a sinner who is forgiven is naturally going to love the one who has forgiven them. The point of the parable is this. The one that is forgiven will naturally love the one that has forgiven them. Jesus forgives this woman. He actually says, your faith has saved you. And because of that, she shows her love. And she does this out of an act of love. Because she knew she was spiritually bankrupt. Just like us. See, Simon didn't show love. At all. He didn't get it. He didn't get the point. So Jesus knows that he didn't get the point. Puts the focus. He talks about the woman. You see this woman. But in all actuality, he puts the focus on Simon. He puts the focus on Simon. And he talks about this customs of the day. Just basic customary things. Like washing the feet. Washing the feet was very customary in that time. You walk into somebody's house, and Simon, he was upper middle class. He could have had a slave at the door to wash everybody's feet that walked in. He could have. He didn't. Bare minimal is he puts a water in a basin. That's bare minimum. Simon didn't even do that. And then Jesus talks about a kiss. You didn't offer me a kiss. The customary kiss was, and you see it on the news when you look at the Middle East, they grab each other's shoulders and kiss each other on the cheek, left, right. That's the customary greeting during this time. And you see it on the news. It's still a customary greeting in the Middle East now. And hospitality is very big in the Middle East. Very big. And Simon was failing on all aspects. Bare minimal greeting, bare minimal, that Jesus would have come in and Simon would have kissed his hand. That's bare minimum. And it's a sign of disrespect if you don't do that. Then he talks about oil on the head. And so what this is all about is somebody comes in, they've been traveling, they get their feet washed, they get a kiss, and they get a little pinch of oil or perfume, and they put on their head. And just kind of, you walk around, and we've had some pretty major heat, and you can get stinky in heat, This just kind of masks the stinkiness. And all this is just customary. It's basically the same as one of us having people over at our house. That they come in and shake hands or have a hug, and you offer them, hey, here's the facilities. Do you need to, wash your hands, get cleaned up, refreshed, up before you have a meal? It's basically the same thing. By not doing it, it was a sign of major disrespect. So Simon comes in, or Jesus comes in, and he kind of is like, he's going for the kiss, but Simon just kind of like leaves them hanging, It's kind of like, when you go for a handshake and the person walks away, and you're like, okay. It's kind of like the same thing. Simon just completely disrespects Jesus on all accounts. And this is really huge, like I said, because hospitality was really big in this day. It was really big. So Jesus, through all this, he puts the focus on Simon by talking about the woman. And we can learn what the woman does. If you're taking notes, this is what the woman does. One, the woman honors Jesus. She honors Jesus. It says in verse 44, do you see this woman? I've entered your house. You gave me no water for my feet. But she has wet my feet with her tears and wiped them with her hair. Washing feet was a sign of humility. This woman was humbling herself before Jesus. And when we humble ourselves, guess what? We have to lift somebody else up. When we humble ourselves, we have to lift somebody else up. And this woman was humbling herself in front of Jesus, to Jesus, lifting Jesus up and giving her honor, or giving him honor. And he does this because of who he is and what he has done in her life. Jesus has set her free. And he gives him honor. And we look at this, and you know what? Every single one of us, we lean into Simon. We think too much of ourselves and not as much as we should about Jesus. We think more of ourselves than our Savior. And we need to be humbling ourselves more and lifting Jesus up even more. Humbling ourselves and lifting Jesus. And the Bible tells us, when we do that, he will lift us up. We don't have to lift ourselves up. When we humble ourselves under the mighty hand of God, he will lift us up. Jesus sets us free from our past failures. And we need to humble ourselves. The next thing that the woman does, the woman reveres Jesus. She reveres Jesus. It says in verse 45, you gave me no kiss, but from the time I came, she has not ceased to kiss my feet. Like I said, a kiss is a very customary greeting. But here's the deal. Kissing the feet of somebody is only reserved for the leading rabbis, the leading teachers, and the high council in this day. This woman was putting Jesus on the pedestal, worshiping him over the religious leaders of the day. They didn't receive kisses on the feet that much. And this woman came in and kissed the feet of Jesus. And it was a sign of ultimate reverence. This woman came in and kissed the feet of Jesus and gave him reverence and respect and worshipped him.